I'm Peter Loshak. We're talking right now with returning guest Jeff Grant, featured sports betting writer for the Bleacher Report. Jeff, thanks for coming back this week.
Great to be with you, Peter, with another Southeastern Conference high-profile matchup here.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm sorry, man. I assign you these games every week, and I actually did. The second game I assigned to you, I think we're going to be able to find some great value. But this one, I apologize for assigning this to you, man. It's South Carolina, LSU. I don't know how you can find value with a side here. I mean, South Carolina has covered 5 in a row, though, and LSU has, lost 3 in a row by a pretty significant margin. So maybe the answer is just that South Carolina is systematically being, undervalued right now, and LSU is being overvalued. So maybe the side is South Carolina, but they're a 2.5-point underdog at LSU. We know how tough it is to go into LSU. Maybe you have something to say about the total at 40. What do you think here, Jeff?
Well, LSU has the nation's longest home winning streak, so that's in their favor. They're obviously going to be undervalued in the market. That's in their favor after being really bad on offense against Florida. It wasn't the fact that their defense was very bad, even though they got outplayed in the second half. So I think sharp bettors are going to immediately look at laying the points with LSU just for the fact of how good South Carolina looked and how just bad LSU looked. Now, South Carolina was in a much better situation last week playing at home. LSU going in one of the toughest venues, the Swamp, in college football. So from a line perspective, it's very hard to make it a line for this game. I put up something from my end of favoring LSU by maybe a point or two. So there's really no value on the side. And the total, I saw has slipped below the 40 point while we went on air. It's under 40 points now on the SBR odds screen.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that you do see, though, in sports in general, and particularly in college sports, you see a team get systematically either overvalued or undervalued. And you really see that a lot in college sports and college basketball. You definitely see it in college football as well. And that team will be repeatedly, overvalued or undervalued game after game after game. And that might be what's going on with South Carolina here. I mean, even, the whole market looked at their game, last week against Georgia, and there was not any particular sharp movement on South Carolina, and they just pounded the hell out of Georgia. No one really saw that one coming. So maybe South Carolina is going to come here and, get a 10-point win. And once again, we'll look back and say, all right, 6th straight ATS cover by South Carolina. We should have seen it coming.
I think you're exactly right. And I like the way that you looked into that game. I looked at it in the same way, as I think LSU was obviously overvalued now because of Zach Mendenberger, their quarterback. They lost 2 senior quarterbacks last year that took them to the BCS championship game, while South Carolina was vastly undervalued due to Lattimore coming off an injury, their star running back, and they lost a lot of playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, at least 2 first-round draft picks. So I'm going to go back to a trend that we've used, and we've covered both games, and Peter, I know you know it well by this point in time. In 27 SEC games now, with a point spread of 7 points or less, the team that wins the rushing battle is 23-4 against the spread. We used it last week. We laid the points with South Carolina over Georgia. I feel like I have a very good feel with these 2 teams. I picked Florida and the under in that game on SBR Forum as one of my articles. Picked South Carolina on the video. And this, I had to look at how Les Miles does. They haven't been running the football very well. They have 3 very good, capable running backs, but they don't have a quarterback this year that's able to extend the field. When he loses the rushing battle at Tiger Stadium, and they are one of the most dominant home teams in college football in Baton Rouge. In those 10 games, they have not covered the spread in any of them, and I think Marcus Lattimore in South Carolina is going to win the rushing battle again this week.
Great way of looking at it. Yeah, we'll see what the action is in this game, if there's any sharp opinions on it. But yeah, I mean, if LSU does, we can say at least this: if LSU does cover this game, then it'll require a stark reversal of form against market valuations for both teams here. So yeah, South Carolina might be the play here. Is that your official pick on this one?
I agree that something's going to happen on the special teams, and I'm a little wary. I want to go overboard on playing this game on South Carolina for any reason, especially with the fact that Connor Shaw, their quarterback, really has not won a big game on the road. They've leaned heavily on Steven Garcia, who was one of the more erratic signal callers. But when they won games on the road, that was with Steven Garcia in big games. they really didn't play a major SEC opponent on the road last year. So I'm a little wary if they're able to shut down Lattimore. And the value, I think, is gone. It opened the bookmaker LSU -4, and now it's slipped under 3. It's 2.5 in the market. So if anything, yeah, of course, take the points to South Carolina.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeff.